It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life, from the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators, the famous and not so famous, the controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here's Douglas Coleman.
Howdy, howdy, ho, hey. Welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show. It's me, Douglas Coleman. How are ya? Nick Fowler is here today. Nick is a writer and a musician. He's got a new book out called My Virtuous Sister, and there is a musical track to go along with it. And the track is called Heroin Girl. It's a great track. Kind of takes you all over the place on an emotional roller coaster. So we'll be playing the track in the middle of his interview. We've also got an interview with Lou Evans of World 5. And World 5 is a band that we've been promoting for the past month on our complete radio promotional package. So Lou will be up in the second half of the show. Before we get to the interviews, we have our complete radio promo playlist to do. We've got two new artists who are just starting for the month. Thank you very much to them for signing up. We appreciate it. And it's kind of an international flavor. The two new artists are Kathy Varna, who is from France, and her track is called Partir, which is P-A-R-T-I-R, which is the verb in French to leave. Je vais partir ce soir. I am leaving tonight, but I'm not going anywhere. So we've got her track, and we've also got a track called Cold Brew Coffee by Yajur Music. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Y-A-J-U-R. And he is living in Singapore. And for more information on our featured artists in our radio promotional package, please go to our website, douglascolemanmusic.com, and click on the featured artist link. And there you will find their bios, photos, and links to their music and respective websites. I know this is not a new thought, but if we can bring the world together through music, wouldn't it be great? So at the Douglas Coleman Show, we are doing our little part to try to promote music from all around the world. So without further ado, here is B.U., Partir, and Cold Brew Coffee.
What's on your mind, weighing it down, heart pounding of a hellish kind, bonded faith and love seem to separate. I don't understand, I'm from the outside looking in times like these you need a friend. You will persevere, all that holds you back is fear. Be the one your soul shines through. Get yourself in gear, wipe away those needed tears. Be the one your soul shines through. Be you. And they pass off your plight, pretending not to notice as they fly their kites. You fill this wretched void with burning rain. Don't know what else to do. You just have thought of the ways you can get back what's been taken from you. And carrying that spite, you'll never be free. Get yourself in gear, wipe away those needed tears.
toujours. Ouvrir son passé au grand jour, ouvrir ses années sur le temps, déchire souvenirs et discours. Trop vouloir offrir sans retour, ses moindres désirs, fils de nous, enseigne à partir. À trop embellir les faux jours, trop vouloir courir à genoux, initie les désirs. Partir, trouver le lieu qui m'a vu naître un jour. Partir, sauter le feu de nos ancêtres amours. Je veux partir, ouvrir les yeux, se reconnaître tout. Partir, sans les aveux de tout son être toujours, de son être d'amour. Trop partager son bonheur, on se fait voler dans son cœur, son âme, ses pleurs. À trop adorer les trompeurs, on se fait brûler sur nos peurs, drame des rêveurs, à trop épouser les rôdeurs, on se fait noyer aux vapeurs de flammes sans fleurs. À trop se livrer aux fureurs du corps affamé, on se meurt sous la lame du tueur, du tueur. Partir, trouver le lieu qui m'a vu naître un jour. Partir, sauter le feu de nos ancêtres amours. Je veux partir, ouvrir mes yeux, se reconnaître pour. Partir, sans désaveu de tout son être toujours, de son être d'amour. Partir, trouver le lieu qui m'a vu naître un jour. Partir, sauter le feu de nos ancêtres amours. Je veux partir, ouvrir les yeux, se reconnaître pour. Partir, sans désaveu de tout son être toujours. Je veux partir, trouver le lieu qui m'a vu naître un jour. Partir, sans désaveu de tout son être toujours, de son être d'amour, de son être d'amour, de son être d'amour.
Just one last time, I just wanna be the one to bring it back. I can see you're worried if I'll be alright. I'll show them how to fix the slack. Oh, I just needed some sympathy, but I will try to survive. Don't show me how to make myself feel free. Maybe try to be my guide. Your cold brew coffee's on the way, baby, but long distance is not the way. My heart starts rushing when I see your face. I hope you feel the same. Maybe tell me what's wrong with a little bit of fun. Don't you try to fix me up with rules of jealous love. 'Cause I need you to tell me that you need me. I hope you'll see that if you're gonna stay, your cold brew coffee's on the way. Why is fighting always a crime? Why do we always play along? What if our arguments bring a smile and help me sing and write the song? What if we never spoke of time? What if you left it in the air? And the fact that I made you cry won't change the fact that I still care. Your cold brew coffee's on the way, baby, but long distance is not the way. My heart starts rushing when I see your face. I hope you feel the same. Maybe tell me what's wrong with a little bit of fun. Don't you try to fix me up with rules of jealous love. 'Cause I need you to tell me that you need me. I hope you'll see that if you're gonna stay, your cold brew coffee's on the way. Over time, doesn't matter to us, I'll fight. Don't battle to love, just try to make sure that you're by my side. Your cold brew coffee's on the way, baby, but long distance is not the way. My heart starts rushing when I see your face. I hope you feel the same. Baby, tell me what's wrong with a little bit of fun. Don't you try to fix me up with rules of jealous love. 'Cause I need you to tell me that you need me. I hope you'll see that if you're gonna stay, your cold brew coffee's on the way.
Okay, please welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show, Nick Fowler. Hey, Nick, how are you?
Hey, how are you, Douglas? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for joining us on the show. I was reading over your bio. I think you and I have some things in common. I was also a musician in New York, maybe about 10 years before you.
What? So I moved there in '89. So what? You moved there in '79?
Well, 80 actually. So 9 years, yeah.
And what did you play? What was that? The punk scene, or was that like the start of new wave? Or
no, I was in a band. I hooked up with a band. We did mostly like 60s and 70s cover, but we also had a lot of original material. But we played at, God, I'm trying to think now, a place called Smile. And
I think I remember. Man, I don't know. Was that in the East Village?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so there was that club, and then there was another one called Augie's we played at, which was on the Upper West Side, 89th Street and Broadway, I think. And then some club on McDougal Street that I don't remember. And then there was the Long Island Music Festival that we did in the summer. that was kind of fun, except because it was 5,000 plus people, but I hated playing outside. I don't know about you. I
hate it because the sound is
right.
It's never good because it's like you can't have acoustics. It's always awful.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. I could never hear myself. You know, the sound just went out into
the
nowhere.
monitors don't really work because if it's just open air. Yeah.
Exactly. So enough about me. Let's talk about you. What were you doing in the 80s? What kind of things were you playing? Where were you playing? All that good stuff. What kind of music?
In the 80s, so I'm 51. I moved to New York in 89, like literally the day after graduation. So the music, I was obsessed with Guns N' Roses at that point.
Oh, okay.
You know, so I was, in cover bands in college. I was playing a lot of Guns N' Roses covers and Living Colour and that whole group of bands that sort of made the glam bands irrelevant. And then I just started writing, I was writing songs in college. But so, in 89, I was starting to really work on my own songs, I think. Yeah.
Now you've got tracks out. We've got one of your tracks to play in a few minutes called Heroin Girl. Yeah.
Right. So I wrote that song about the girl that's in this novel that I'm coming out. The novel's My Virtuous Sister, and that's being published August 1st by Upper Hand Press. And there's going to be a video released in conjunction with the novel about it's called Heroin Girl. And that's about this girl in the novel, Peddie, who is, it's about the heroine of the novel. And the song is called Heroin Girl. Ha ha.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So it's a double entendre. Did she also dabble in the opiate heroin as well?
Yeah, the girl in the novel gets addicted to heroin.
Okay. So she's the heroine on heroin, basically.
Exactly. I was, I'm trying to make that pun.
Well,
and so,
clever,
I wanted to say something about this book. Did you read Bright Lights, Big City or Less Than Zero or the Basketball Diaries or those kind of books?
Yes, to Less Than Zero and Basketball Diaries. I saw the movie. I didn't read it.
Right, so did I. So this book, My Virtuous Sister, that's coming out August 1st, it's a very slim volume. I wanted it to be what I call a red-eye read, which someone can take from New York to L.A. or Vegas, and just read in one sitting.
Oh, cool.
It's a book about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but that's really to lure the reader in because underneath it are lessons about persistence and addiction and abuse and, not taking any abuse from people is basically the theme of the book. So, I think, did I answer your question?
Oh, yeah. Taking abuse from the people. Yeah, that covers a lot of ground. And you being a musician, we're certainly no stranger to taking abuse, particularly by music industry people.
Yeah. Parents, the book is about a girl whose father is very abusive, and it also, there's a scene in there where the record company president is like firing the band, dropping them from the label. And as you know, Douglas, from having been in the music business, it's an abusive business. It's demeaning by nature, I think.
Yeah, most definitely. Listen, let's have a listen to your song, okay? I want to hear it.
Thanks. It starts off. It swells in. It fades in. So the first thing you hear is it's not going to be loud, So it'll fade in, buddy.
Okay. All right. I've never listened to it. One of the things I do with my guests is I don't typically listen to their music first because I like my reaction to be fresh when we're on the show.
That's good. I like that.
So, okay. So this is Heroin Girl by Nick Fowler.
Searches for a fresh flame, another runaway, the vague dreams of the runway. As her umbrella collapses, she cries, or is it laughter? Because they feel the same. She's a hell girl. How can I love someone who doesn't love me? She's a hell girl. How can I love someone who doesn't love the world? She swears she'll change her ways and drift to LA. She heard they don't need seasons there, 'cause New York City winter would be just like a splinter. Yeah, it's a razor blade. She's a hell girl. How can I love someone who doesn't love the world? She's a hell girl. How can I love someone who doesn't love the world? She hates herself at the mirror, tells herself to get clean or die. She's the walking dead. She's dead. She's dead. She's as her umbrella collapses, she cries, or is it laughter? 'Cause they feel the same. She's my hell girl. How can I love someone who doesn't love the world? She's my hell girl. How can I love someone who doesn't love the world?
Wow, nice song. Really nice.
Oh, thanks.
That song is all over the place. I mean, the arrangement, all
Yeah.
over the place in a good way. I like it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I tried to take you different places emotionally, you know.
Yeah, wow.
Who are your favorite bands?
Oh, God. Well, probably the Beatles, but who I tried to be, I suppose, when I was in New York was Elton John and Billy Joel.
The first
yeah.
5 records, I was obsessed with those, you know?
Oh, the best. Absolutely the best ones. Tumbleweed and Honky Chateau. I mean, that kind of blue-eyed soul stuff I love that music, you know?
Yeah. Even Caribou.
Yeah.
I love,
Yeah.
Madman Across the Water. Those, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Those records were just...
Yeah, the guy who has produced 4 of my tracks, Stuart Epps, worked with Elton John on all those albums.
Oh, who's that?
His name's Stuart Epps.
And he was an engineer for Elton John?
Yeah, he was to Elton John like Jeff Emmerich was to the Beatles. He was like...
Oh, okay, wow.
He was the apprentice under Gus Dudgeons, who produced all of the early albums.
Oh, okay. And you worked with him?
He's produced 4 of my songs, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So
your songs have that kind of real warm, acoustic, blue-eyed soul vibe?
Kind of, sort of. Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly Elton John's music, but it's in there, you know?
Right.
Definitely has the influence. One thing I was going to ask you was, who have you been compared to? Because your voice sounds like, the first one that came to mind was Perry Farrell.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love Jane's,
Jane's Addiction, right.
Nothing Shocking and Ritual, those two. But I always loved Perry Farrell. It's such a range, but I'd never heard that. Thank you for that.
Who have you been compared to?
The Black Crowes, remember that band, the Black Crowes?
Yeah.
So I loved them. And the singer, Chris Robinson, I think, has a voice that was similar to mine. But yeah, why'd you say Perry Farrell? That's interesting.
It was just more of, I think, the combination of the type of music, plus, I don't know, something just clicked, and I just thought of, wow, it just.
What I think it might be that you thought about? I think you might, because Jane Says, the record about the prostitute, that song about the prostitute he knew, it had that kind of desperation about a girl, maybe, that you were thinking.
It's possible. It's possible. Music, as you well know, gets all jumbled up in your head, and it gets in the blender, and then whatever comes out when you try to write. So there's all sorts of dynamics coming, and when I hear new music that I've never heard before, it just sort of, in my brain, recalls this bit, this bit. But then
I also went through a big. You're asking me about the influences. I went through a big Jeff Buckley phase. You remember him?
Not right off the top of my head.
So his father was Tim Buckley, this folk guy that was big in the 60s. And then Jeff Buckley was his son. And in New York in the early 90s, he was this huge artist. And then he drowned in the Mississippi River, in the Memphis River.
Oh, okay.
But he was one of these guys, like, he would have been as big as Bowie. But anyway, I went through this phase where I was obsessed with him. And I was compared to Jeff Buckley only because I was trying to copy him at that point. But yeah, I have some songs that sound like him.
There was another comparison I was going to make, the Tears for Fears song. There was a little bit of
which one? The Hurting? Mad World.
Mad World, right.
I love that song.
There was an echo of that in there too. Yeah.
I guess I am. Yeah, I was. That MTV era where that was definitely Mad World. I remember I loved that song. So that's interesting.
So many people covered that song, but their version I think was the best.
Yeah, I remember. That guy Adam Lambert.
Yeah, he did it.
He did a cover of that was really good on American Idol, actually.
Yeah, I did see that. Now he's singing with Queen.
Yeah, which, I mean,
what do you think of that?
Technically a great singer, but it's sort of like, why even bother? Like, I didn't see the Queen movie because I felt sort of like it was redundant to why even try to make Freddie, you're never gonna duplicate him. Why bother trying is how I felt. But I guess it's good though that the movie brought so much recognition to another generation to know Queen. So that was great.
Well, that's true. And I think that we need to keep the good music alive because these days with the technology, there's just so much crap out there that the old stuff can get lost. And I think it's good to introduce the next generations. I mean, you think about the Beatles music is 50 years old and it's still very relevant today. Queen's music is 40 years old. Led Zeppelin, there's just so many of them.
It's great when, like, my friends, younger kids that my friends have, children of my friends, and they're listening to Zeppelin and Queen and the Beatles. It really, thank God, right?
Yeah, exactly. There is hope for the future generations if they listen to that music. I agree.
Yeah. It's good to know that it's good to know that it is good and that they do respond to that, and we're not just old fogies, Did you ever see the movie The Song Remains the Same, the Zeppelin movie?
Oh, God, yes. 100 times.
Yeah. So that was like, I would be curious to see what teenagers who saw that now for the first time, how they felt about that.
It's a pretty tremendous concert. You'd have to be an idiot not to like it.
Exactly. I mean, Robert, he's such a sex god in that thing. It's like he's the quintessential archetypal sexy front man.
Absolutely. Yeah. And his voice is very seductive too. He captivates the whole audience.
He's so charming.
Do you know the band Greta Van Fleet?
Yes, they very much sound like Zeppelin.
Yeah, aren't they great?
Yeah, great singer.
They're a reboot of Zeppelin, but in a good way. I saw the interview with Robert Plant, and he loves them.
Back to Jeff Buckley. Jeff Buckley toured with Robert Plant and Jimmy Page. They loved him. Please check that out, Douglas.
I will.
If you can.
I will, yeah.
Check out a song called Last Goodbye. It's sort of the same structure as the Rain song.
Oh, I love that song.
And I love that song. And that build up in the Rain song when he says, I feel the coolness of my winter.
Oh, nice.
Jeff, the song, the Last Goodbye has a similar bridge. And it's just that kind of triumphant moment in a song. I think you'll see the similarities.
Okay, I'll definitely check it out. Jeff Buckley, Last Goodbye. Okay, I'm writing it down.
The Last Goodbye, yeah.
So, your book comes out August 1st, you said? Yeah?
Yes, August 1st on Upper Hand Press. My Virtuous Sister is the book. And it comes June 28th is the ebook. So you can go to the Upper Hand Press website and pre-order the book now. And another thing I wanted to mention, Douglas, is I'm promoting my writing services, nickfowlerwritingservices.com.
Okay.
And that's my editorial writing services. And I help people ghostwrite, or I edit their memoirs. I write their resumes. It's kind of a catch-all writing service that I'm launching. Very much for people that have been sort of told they can't do something. Like, I notice a lot of people that want to write, they're not writing because they've been discouraged. And that's what I'm trying to remedy with this writing service. The novel, My Virtuous Sister, is about sticking up for yourself and doing creative things despite what people tell you. So that sort of goes in conjunction with my novel and the writing service.
Are you working full-time as a writer now, or do you still do music?
More a writer. I try to do music, but I'm releasing a video for the song Heroin Girl in conjunction with the novel. So I'm trying to do both, but I think it's probably more the writing now, just because I've been really working on promoting the novel. Yeah.
Okay.
Why do you still sing? Or what do you play? What instrument?
Piano, primarily.
And do you still sing and play?
Not publicly, no.
Right.
I still fool around at home in the studio, but no, I kind of semi-retired for that. This show has really taken off. So,
that's awesome. And so how long has the show been going?
Be 4 years in May. And just a quick story about the show. We started out as a music promotion show to promote indie music. And then it just kind of spread wings, and we started getting actors and authors. I try to stay away from politics, but we've had a couple of political pundits on, and it just kept going and going. So I sort of pursued it, and now we're making some success of it. We're on 11 or 12 terrestrial stations and a whole bunch of online platforms, and it's doing very well. Keep getting more interesting guests.
How would you, what's your brand? Like, how would you say, if you had to just talk, tell someone briefly what your core theme is, what would that be?
The core theme is entertainment, and I like to think of it as a variety show.
Right, variety, interesting. Okay, like Dick Cavett, sort of?
Yeah, okay. Dick Cavett meets Johnny Carson meets the Midnight Special. How's that?
Oh, I love the Midnight Special.
Dick Cavett was one of my idols, but very seriously intellectual. Carson was just a great host who really didn't say that much at all. He
Right, it's true.
He let the guests
but
speak.
Dick Cavett's my favorite, though.
Yeah.
Like those old shows where he had Hendrix and Janis Joplin on, you know, it's just, and Truman Capote, I remember he had on. That's probably my favorite Cavett episode.
He's had everybody who was everybody. I like the one, he had John Lennon on, he had Orson Welles, he had Marlon Brando. I mean, just amazing. Anybody who was anybody was on that show. And he was a writer for a bunch of different shows, and then...
yeah, right. He started off as a writer, I think.
He ended up getting his own show.
Did you ever see that show, SCTV?
Funny, I was just talking about that last week with my interview. Yeah, one of my favorites. I got the DVD
and I
set.
remember because Rick Moranis did that Cavett imitation.
Yeah. That's funny, yes.
Why were you talking about SCTV?
Because the guy I was talking to worked on the American Pie movies, and we mentioned Eugene Levy, and then that went to SCTV.
Oh, interesting.
So, Nick, we got to wrap this, all right? Thank you so much for coming on. Your book is called My Virtuous Sister. It will be out August 1st, you said. Give us your website again for your writing.
Yeah, thanks, Douglas. It's www.nickfowlerwritingservices.com.
Writing services. Okay.
Yes.
All right, Nick. Thanks so much for coming on. Great talking to you. Best of luck.
You too, Douglas. Thank you so much.
You're listening to Mr. Smooth and Savvy right here on The Douglas Coleman Show. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
DJC Music and DJC Productions are pleased to announce a brand new website. We have started a listing website for radio show hosts as well as potential show guests. This is a meeting site where hosts and guests can come together. Show hosts can list their show and types of guests they're interested in booking. Potential guests can list their talents, bio, accomplishments, or anything they feel makes them an interesting radio show guest. There are no recurrent payments, only a one-time $5 listing fee. Your listing will stay up until you decide to cancel. Previous guests of The Douglas Coleman Show are welcome to submit their guest listing free of charge. Go to radiohostsandguests.com. That's radiohostsandguests.com.
The Douglas Coleman Show is now offering a complete radio promotional package for music artists. Your track will air 28 times a week for 1 month over all of our online and terrestrial platforms, as well as permanently archive on Spreaker, iTunes and many other sites. Your profile will also be featured in our featured music artists page on our website. With this package, you will also get a 15-minute interview on our show to promote your latest single, EP, LP, or upcoming gig. Similar packages like this can run hundreds of dollars and often are subscription-based. Our package has a one-time fee of just $49.99. Please go to douglascolemanmusic.com/CRPP. That's douglascolemanmusic.com/CRPP for complete details. Let's work together to get your music heard.
Hi there, this is Stuart Epps, record producer. This is my story about Elton John, working with him in those early years, going back to 1967 at Dick James, all the amazing tours, those first recordings, going through to Rocket Records, and it's an amazing story about his incredible rise to stardom and my part in that. So look forward to taking you on that journey. So here we go. Yeah, and to order this great audio CD, please just email me at stuartepps@talk21.com. That's Stuart, STUART, Epps, EPPS, at talk, TALK, 21 in figures.com. Stuart Epps at talk21.com. Email me and I'll give you all the details for buying this brilliant audio disc. Thank you. Bye.
Tired of living in a culture of lies, fake news, and alternative facts? The Pro-Truth Pledge reverses the tide of lies by calling on politicians, and everyone else, to commit to truth-oriented behaviors. The pledge asks signees to commit to 12 behaviors that research in behavioral science shows lead to truthfulness, such as clarifying one's opinions and the facts, citing one's sources, and celebrating people who update their beliefs toward the truth. Private citizens who sign the pledge get the benefit of contributing to a more truth-oriented society. Public figures get more substantive rewards for signing the pledge in the form of positive media and public recognition. The pledge crowdsources the truth by asking volunteers to evaluate the statements of public figures who sign the pledge. Take the pledge, demand that your elected representatives do so, and encourage your friends to take it at protruthpledge.org.
Are you an independent musician? How would you like to have your songs played on hundreds of radio stations just like the one you're listening to right now? Join MusicSubmit.com and we'll promote your music to radio stations and blogs in your genre. It's free to set up your account, and we guarantee your music will be considered for airplay by radio stations worldwide. Why not sign up today? It's free. MusicSubmit.com. Radio promotion for indie musicians.
Acclaimed author of Garden, Jane Yates brings you the first book in a new trilogy, Octopus Pirate, a story of a foundling who has unusual talents, such as the ability to communicate with octopuses. As a baby, he was washed up on an island off the Scottish mainland. An eccentric former nun who lives alone with cats brings him up. He joins a circus and narrowly escapes plots against him, flees to Cornwall, builds a replica pirate ship that's also an airship to travel back in time to fight real pirates. Get your copy today from Amazon, only 99 cents.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. See? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Wrong hat.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Okay, please welcome from the band World 5, Lou Evans. Hi, Lou. How are you?
I'm doing great, Douglas. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. You guys you signed up for our radio promotional package. Thank you very much. And we've been playing your track, Be You. Tell us a little about World 5.
Yeah, absolutely. So, World 5 is a collection of fantastic musicians. And I should say what is, by the way, just for your listeners, just if you hear a baby in the background, I should tell you that's my son. I have a 9-month-old in the background. He's eating a little bit, and I'm feeding him in the background. But I just want, if they hear babies like making noises and stuff, I just want to make sure that people knew that.
No problem.
So as far as with the band, we have 5 musicians. And what's unique about the band is we're spanned out all over the world. So our drummer, Raymond Breitfeld, and our bass player, Jimmy Olsen, both live about an hour and a half from each other in Sweden. Our lead guitarist, or one of our fantastic guitarists, Stefan Gors, lives in New Zealand.
Wow.
And our other great musician, guitarist, keyboardist, and producer lives in Houston, Texas. That's Joe DeVito. And right now, my name is Lou Evans, and I'm the lead singer-songwriter, and I live in Concord, California. So we're spanned out over 3 different continents. As far as I know, the band came together in 2015, and during that time, they've come out with 2 albums, and how I joined the band was Raymond contacted me over a year ago asking if I would be interested. He gave me some praise, which I was very grateful for, and asked if I would be interested in joining the band as the lead singer-songwriter. And I said, well, let me listen to some of the music and get to know, what I'd be getting into. And so I listened to it, and they're, like I said, great musicians, a lot of fun songs, kind of a pop rock kind of a sound, and that's where I go with my music. And then over the amount of time, I was persistent in letting Raymond know that I was busy, and I'm still busy. I'm a very busy guy. I'm a full-time entertainer, and I have also a part-time job, and I, at the time, was getting ready for us to have our son. So I have a limited amount of time to contribute to the band, and he said that's completely fine. Contribute as much as you can when you can. We understand we're all fathers, even grandfathers. I said, you got it, okay. And so I sent him a rough track of just me and my acoustic guitar of a song that I had written years ago. It wasn't gridded as far as with a metronome or anything. It was just a raw track. Sent it back to me with all of the different musicians adding their parts to it, and it sounded beautiful. It sounded wonderful. I was very impressed. And so then I sent a more recent track that I had written that was gridded. Same thing, a couple of weeks later, they sent it back, and it sounded like gold. And so from then on, I was sent a contract to sign. And so I looked at it and had a contract lawyer and some trusted friends look over it. I read it multiple times, and ultimately the pros weighed out the cons, and I decided to finally sign a contract. And as of January, I'm officially a signed recording artist, and I get to be a part of a wonderful band, a phenomenally talented band, and I'm very grateful. And right now we have just released my song that I've written, Be You, that they added all their instruments to, and we've released it around the world. I believe we released it on March 8th, so it's been out almost a month, and it's been doing great. I believe I think Raymond said over 2,000 radio stations around the world have been playing our music, and that's wonderful. I am so honored to be a part of that, and that's something that I've created. Has a fantastic band to make it sound even better. So that's where the band is, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to be the lead singer and songwriter.
Okay, so this is what I like to call an internet band, because you guys have, so you've never actually been all in the same room together.
Yeah, I mean, unless you call a group Skype chat.
No, I mean physically in the same room together, playing together. You've never actually done that, right?
We have not.
Okay, so I guess maybe I missed that part, but how did you actually hook up with these guys?
It was when I was reached out to by Raymond. He said that he would that he was interested in my music and gave me some praise, and he and the band were interested in me being the lead singer songwriter for the band. And so he was very persistent, because along the way, like I said, I was busy preparing for our son to be born, and going out and doing a lot of shows, and also working another part-time job, and he, with me being very upfront with him about how busy I was, he understood and said, as much as you can give, we'd be very happy to receive. And so now the band is signed with Spectra Music Group, and they are the biggest independent record company in the United States. And there's some great acts on there. I was looking at the list, and so I'm just so honored to be a part of that and create material for the world. So,
was the rest of the band already put together, and then you were the last one to join?
Yes. They had other lead singers before. One of them didn't work out because of some, unfortunate circumstances, and another one didn't work out because he went another way, I believe, creatively. And then I had the chance to come in. The contract I've signed is a 3-year contract, so and it's very flexible. I get to add as much as I can. Our goal is to release an album by sometime the end of the year, and just become more successful, and have more people enjoying our music, buying our music. And when that happens, the more success, hopefully it can get to the point where we can actually play together and tour. So that would be the dream. That is the goal. So we're working towards it right now. And thankfully, Raymond's been working so hard. He does a lot of the footwork, along with our record company, of course. So this is where it's at right now, and I'm along for the ride, just creating material and sending it over.
Well, it's interesting that the internet has created that possibility that bands can actually never be in the same room together and yet create music. Mm-hmm. I don't think that was possible before the internet. And no. I think there's a lot of bands out there. I know of a couple, I've interviewed a couple that actually are doing, the exact same thing. Well, you know what? I think there's good and bad to that, because on the good side, it limits the amount of, sort of picking your song apart when bands get together and like somebody brings something in when they're actually all in the same room together. And then they start picking it apart, saying, no, you can't do that, and you got to change this and do that. When you do it online, I think it limits the amount of that can happen. Would you agree with that? Yeah. Yeah, and to expand on that, one of the main things that I would say is a drawback is that the connection of being able to play together and having that synergistic feeling of actually being in a studio or being in a any kind of area where we can all play together and feed off of each other and create in the same room. There's nothing like that when it comes to cultivating a powerful band that is very cohesive unit. Now, but what we have, obviously, it would not be here without technology. And at the same time, what we have, I am so thankful for, that I have the opportunity to be able to share and create with these gentlemen. And when we get to the point where we have more and more success, then I believe that from there is when we can eventually get to a point where we can play together. So this is just the beginning, and I'm excited for the journey. How is your song doing? You said it was on over 2,000 radio. How is the sales going with it?
I actually don't know. I don't know how that's going. We just hired like 2 or 3 weeks ago. We hired a financial manager to take care of our finances and get into the different parts as far as getting sponsorship in different areas. And the record label is taking care of a lot of the other parts of that. So, I don't know as how our sales are doing. I know that we got some praise on this company called Academia. We have the #1 pop song for the month of March. And so that was pretty cool, getting some accolade that way. But it was just one song. So we have so many more. I've already sent a couple of other songs to be worked on, and it's just going to keep rolling. And so I have plenty of material, and I got to tell you, completely candid. I'm finding out, as far as being a new dad, that you have to be very intentional with your time. And so making the time to actually sit and create and put this music out is very important. And when you're having to put your son down and be a dad and play with him and all those wonderful things, it's one of those things to make sure that, okay, all right, when he's taking a nap or when he's doing his own thing, now I can actually sit and do something. And I should tell you actually how I send it to the people, to the band. And so because it's a little more tricky. So when I have something that I've created, like a whole melody and the lyrics and everything, how I do it is I will have a wireless earbud in my ear and I'll have a metronome app on my smartphone. And with that metronome, it will be in a beat of either a 3/4 or a 4/4 or a 6/8. And it will be at a specific beats per minute, 130 or so. And what I'll do is I'll have that and I'll be playing the song along to that metronome and grid it so that it's in the timing for the band. And I will phrase the vocals. I won't fully sing them, but I'll at least phrase what I'll be singing in those spots so that they know where not to play or play as much. And when I'm done with that, and I'll be recording it with my other, like my iPad or such, I'll send that to Raymond, and he'll put his drum parts on, and then he'll share that with Jimmy, put the bass parts, and so on, to Stefan, to Joe, back to me, so I could add my final vocals on. Then it'll go back to Joe, he'll mix it down, then we'll go get it mastered, and then we have a final product. Technology.
Well, it's pretty amazing. And I think we're going to see more bands that work like that, because people, like you said, with logistics, with people with jobs, with kids, with everything, it's a lot easier than to try to get everybody in a garage somewhere to play. And this way you can have both. You know?
Yeah.
Lou, we got to wrap this up. Thank you so much for coming on. Best of luck with the song. I hope it does well.
Douglas, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for reaching out, and I'm very happy to do this interview. And yeah, let's keep in touch.
All right. Well, that's about all the time we've got for the show today. I want to thank my special guests, Nick Fowler and Lou Evans. Thank you guys very much. Also, thank you to World 5, Kathy Varna, and Yajor Music for their wonderful tracks. This is Douglas Coleman saying I'll see ya when I see ya.